Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. I'm trying to keep as still as I possibly can to get this camera to focus. I'm not sure it's going to. And you think, what the hell am I looking at? Well, what you're looking at is that tiny little thing on the wire. And I'm fully zoomed in. So let me just zoom out again. And I'll explain what I'm looking at. So at some point, I'll show you what's happened. This big white Vanda here is a clumsy thing to move around and water. But that's what the blooms should look like. And, hang on, I've got my head in a bush here. If you look there, on the end of my finger, that's pollina. Yeah? And on most orchids, it's sticky. Orchids don't do pollen like most plants do, so they don't have the dust flying around in the air making your eyes water and sneezing and all that stuff. They don't do that. They've got a better way of doing it to a degree, because the pollen's in packages. Yeah? And the idea is that the pollinator gets one of those packages stuck on it in some shape or form, and then goes and deposits that somewhere else. Now, a bloom has got one purpose in life, and that's to get pollinated. And to do so, it's got clever little tricks. It's got fragrance, it's got colours. Sometimes it's got landing lights, which when you look in different types of wavelengths, it really does make the centre of the plant glow with little lines approaching, guiding things in. There's some very clever devices going on here. But something happens straight away. This has happened within a day. If you now look at this bloom, it's lost all of its colour. Colour on the lip, it's gone white. All the colour on the tessellations and petals has been dumped. The reason being, I knocked the pollina off. So as far as the plant knows, that bloom has done its job. It no longer needs pollinators to visit it. So by dumping all the colour and leaving the colour on the rest of them, it encourages pollinators to go to the blooms that haven't been pollinated yet. And I find that incredibly interesting. Literally in a day that happened. Now that's only half of the pollination process. That bloom's lost its pollina, yeah? So it's gone. So it no longer needs to attract pollinators. But the other half of the job is obviously depositing that pollen somewhere else. And I'm obviously not going to do that, because that has a far more dramatic effect. Once a bloom has actually been pollinated, it completely collapses. And that can happen in hours, if not just a day, or maybe 2 days, or even 3 days. It depends on the species or hybrid involved. But it's a total collapse of the bloom. It just literally falls apart, leaving the pollinated part to progress into a seed pod, and so perpetuating the species. So that's the goal. Every bloom has its way to attract its pollinators, and once a bloom's lost its pollina, that's it. Its job's done. It's taken that pollen away, and hopefully on the end of a hummingbird's beak, or front of its head, or on the head of a moth, or a wasp, or flies, or so many different things. But that's its job done. But I just thought that was interesting, and what caught my eye was the fact that that bloom had turned white. And then I realised why. Minus the pollina, doesn't need to attract anybody. And even though I can't film it properly, there it is. It's up on that wire, that tiny little dot. Let's see if I can line it up with something so you can see it. Right, it's sort of right on the edge of where the wood meets the brick on that wire. That's it, that's the pollina. Now obviously I just bumped it up against that. And what I need to do is go very, very careful not to do it with any of those. Because without their colour, you know, they're a bit like a broken pencil. Pointless. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. Just a quick video on pollina and pollination. I don't want any of my blooms to pollinate because I wouldn't know what to do with the seeds anyway if I got any. They'd have to go off to a laboratory and stuff. So I've got no interest in pollinating anything, but yeah, interesting little point. And while I'm out here as well, because I'm not going to be out here much today, I've got other things to do, this miniature Oncidium is opened. And I mean miniature. As I say, it's an Oncidium type. It's a no ID. It's probably a type of Howiara, but that's a guess rather than knowledge. But just to get some scale, that's the size of the blooms. And that really does warrant a tripod. Because there's no way I can show the detail on that one. But yeah, that's just opened. It just missed the everything in bloom, but the blooms are just opening today. I think that's all that's new out here at the moment. Scanning round, yeah, that's about it. Okay, see you next time. Just a quick one. Bye for now.